So also out this week, Bait. So Bait is a Cornish film by Mark Jenkin, who has made a number of films, long and short. Some time ago, Mark Jenkin decided that he had fallen out of love with cinema, and he was trying to get back to what it was that he loved about it. He sat down, and I believe this is true, he watched Mark Cousin's Story of Film, and he realized that what he really loved about film was film. And he started shooting shorts on clockwork cameras, 16mm black and white stock that he would then develop himself in his studio in Newlyn. And he made a film called Bronco's House, and he made some very interesting shorts. And then he embarked upon this feature, Bait. Bait is a story of a Cornish fishing village in which the village's proud fishing history has started to fall away. We have incomers coming in. A house that used to be a house for a fishing family has now been bought and has become a tourist home, somewhere which is rented out for tourists to come down, where nets are now hung on the wall as chintzy decorations, and there are bottles of Prosecco in the fridge. There are two brothers, who formerly the family who owned the house, who have now fallen out, one of whom still plies his trade, fishing and catching lobsters. His brother, however, now takes tourists out on their father's boat. And his brother says, if our dad would be turning in his grave because he would still be fishing. So it's a film about a clash of lifestyles, about the traditions of the area, about incomers, and about, in the end, how everyone is speaking the same language but speaking a different language. And that is kind of played up by the fact that the film is shot completely silent, and all the dialogue is then dubbed afterwards, which gives the dialogue a strange, slightly disconnected, Pinteresque quality. Here's a clip.
Bass?
How many you got?
4.
Could do with more.
All I got.
How much?
30 quid. Cheers.
Got yourself a helper then?
Crew?
You haven't got a boat, Martin.
We'll have soon.
Yeah, your prices.
See you directly, Liz.
Sorry, before you go on, can I just ask you a question? Did you say so it's shot silently,
yeah.
And then they add the dialogue in later?
Yeah, exactly. So they film the actors talking, but they don't record the sound.
Why would that? Why?
Because because they're shooting on clockwork cameras that are not set up for sound, on silent film, and then you dub everything on afterwards. So it's basically like you make a silent film,
right,
and then you add the sound to it afterwards. Okay. And it creates this really interesting thing, which is it's like watching a silent film that has sound, or it's like watching an English language film in English that almost has the appearance of a film which has been dubbed from a foreign language, which does something brilliant in terms of a central theme of the film, which is that everyone's talking to each other and failing to understand each other. I loved this film. One of the things that I love most about it is a film which is textural to the max. It's a film in which you can feel the grain, you can feel the environment. It is absolutely proudly handmade in the way that when you look at a handcrafted pot or a ceramic or whatever it is, you're looking for thumbprints. It's a film that you can feel every sort of single bit of filmmaking in it. And what it does, which is brilliant, is it uses that to tell a story which is a 21st century story about a 21st century clash of cultures, but to locate it absolutely in a history of cinema that goes back to silent film, to black and white film, to films that were dubbed, to foreign language films. I mean, you can see, for me, you can see a trail here that goes from Méliès through Bresson to Lynn Ramsey. It doesn't look like any other film I've seen this year. I've now seen it 4 times, and I would say, incidentally, it's a film that you need to see projected because there's also a lot of really interesting stuff going on in the soundtrack. Mark Jenkin, who wrote and directed and also composed, did the score himself using analog synths. I mean, everything is really, as I said, textural, analog, squishy. You feel it's a film in which it's like you've got your hands in the soil of the environment. It's also very funny. It's really, really well played with this kind of strange mix of Pinteresque deadpan, but also a kind of almost Greek tragic arc to it, to the story itself, which has a kind of archetypal thing. And what I love most about it is it is it's described as proudly handmade in Cornwall. It is a film by, for, and about Cornwall that has a universal appeal, because it's really easy to understand what the clash at the centre of the story is. Everything about the way the film is made, everything about the way the film looks, just looks so unlike every other film that's currently playing around the cinema. I mean, I think if we're going to find connections, it's with people like Andrew Cotting, or, as I said, I think Lynn Ramsey. I know other people have referred to Guy Madden and David Lynch, but I just thought, yeah, this is great. This is reinvigorating my love of cinema, because it's looking forward, but it's looking back at the same time. You can see the whole history of the moving image in this. You could take out any frame and and just gaze. And somebody actually said to me, "Oh, well, they must have put that grain on afterwards. That must have been done digitally." No. That's what something looks like when you hand develop it yourself. It's called Bait. It's 89 minutes long.
Wow.
And it's one of my favourites of the year. It is terrific.